You have checked all the boxes. You earned the high marks. You ascended the ladder of your career, and you have built the very life you were instructed to desire. From all outward appearances, your life is a model of success. Then why is there a persistent nagging void within? Why, after all that labor and all that striving, does success feel so hollow? If you have ever found yourself in a quiet moment, after the applause has died and the contract is signed, asking, "Is this all there is?" then know this: you are not alone, and your condition is not a mystery. In my study of the world's most successful individuals, I have observed this state time and again. I have seen men who possessed everything they thought they wanted: the title, the income, the respect of their peers. They had become the person their younger selves dreamed of being, and they had never felt more profoundly lost. The satisfaction was a fleeting phantom, replaced by a deep emptiness and the anxious question, what now? This is the great secret crisis of meaning that afflicts so many who achieve great heights. It is born when a man builds his palace of success on the sandy foundation of outside approval instead of the bedrock of internal authority. It is a crisis born not of failure, but of a particular kind of success, one that is magnificent on paper, but which fails to nourish the soul. In this discourse, we shall dissect precisely why this occurs, the universal principles behind this paradoxical feeling, and most importantly, what you can and must do about it. We are going to move from a life that merely looks right to one that feels right, a life of definite purpose and personal power. Before we dissect the mechanics of why this happens, I want you to absorb this truth. This feeling is not a flaw in your character. In fact, this state of emptiness is a nearly predictable outcome of the path you have traveled. It is a sign that you have successfully played a game, but you are now awakening to the reality that the prize is not what you were promised. This feeling manifests in a few distinct ways that may seem painfully familiar. First, there is the sense of being an actor performing the lead role in your own life. You know the lines, you hit the marks, you play the part of the successful professional, the provider, the man of stature. But within you feel a profound disconnect, as if you are a spectator watching another man live your days. You are executing the motions, even excelling at them, but the genuine fire of life has been diminished, replaced by a cold, emotional quiet. Then there is the burden of shame. You look upon your life, at the privileges and accomplishments you have gathered, and a voice whispers, "You ought to be grateful. Countless men would trade their souls to be in your position." This guilt renders the emptiness a secret sorrow, making it all the more difficult to speak of. It isolates you. You can be surrounded by those who admire you, yet feel utterly alone, for you believe no one could possibly understand this inner conflict. And finally, there is that persistent gnawing question, what now? After attaining a great goal, a promotion, a major sale, the attainment of a long-sought prize, you may feel a brief surge of excitement, but it vanishes like mist in the morning sun. In place of the lasting fulfillment you anticipated, you are left with a quiet hollowness and an immediate, anxious compulsion to find the next mountain to conquer, desperately hoping the view from that summit will finally bring you peace. This is not a weakness. It is a fundamental law of the mind in action. I have observed that many great achievers report this same sense of flatness after reaching major milestones. The paradox is this: you have engineered a life that is, by all outward measures, a triumph. You have proven your capability, your discipline, your intelligence. Yet, that very engine of achievement has led you to an inner desert. The strategies that brought you here are simply not the strategies that will carry you to fulfillment. This feeling of emptiness is not a sign of your failure. It is a signal that you have outgrown the definition of success you were given. It is a call from your own spirit, demanding that you now create your own. So how did you arrive at this desolate place? No man consciously chooses to build a life that feels vacant. You have arrived here by following a blueprint, a formula for success taught to us from our earliest days. Think back. When did you receive praise? When did you feel that rush of validation from parents, teachers, or coaches? For most who climb to great heights, it was tied to performance. It began with high marks in school. You were not praised merely for being curious. You were praised for securing the A. You were the smart one. In athletics, you were celebrated for scoring the goal, not simply for the love of the game. This pattern continued, reinforcing a powerful and seemingly logical equation in your developing mind. My performance equals my worth. This formula becomes the high achiever's fundamental operating system. It appears as follows. Identify the external goal. Gain entrance to the best college, land the prestigious position, secure the high-paying role. Apply intense effort. Study with more diligence. Work longer hours. Outcompete all rivals. Achieve the goal. Receive the letter of acceptance, the offer of employment, the promotion. Receive outside approval. Hear the words of praise. See the look of admiration. Obtain the title and the salary. Temporarily feel secure. Experience a fleeting sense of worth from this external validation. For years, this formula works magnificently. It propels you through your education, helps you build a career, and allows you to construct a life that is stable and respected. Society rewards this behavior at every turn. You are conditioned to believe this is the one true path to a good life. But there is a fatal flaw in the blueprint. It outsources your sense of self. It teaches you to look outside, to bosses, to bank accounts, to society, for a feeling of worthiness that can only be sustainably generated from within. The great problem is that as you mature, the stakes grow higher and the achievements larger, but the internal reward fails to scale with them. The praise for an A in chemistry felt immense at 16. The praise for increasing market share by 5% at 40 feels different. The external approval begins to feel less and less nourishing. The achievements, which once felt like momentous milestones, begin to feel like just another task checked off a list. This is the point where the blueprint fails. You have become incredibly proficient at achieving things, but the why that should power those achievements has been lost. You have been so focused on climbing the ladder that you never paused to ask if the ladder was leaning against the right wall. The emptiness you feel is the dawning realization that the blueprint you have followed your entire life was a map to someone else's definition of a good life, not necessarily your own. It led you to success, yes, but it was never designed to lead you to fulfillment. If the blueprint is broken, why do you continue to follow it with such blind faith? The answer lies in a powerful psychological illusion, a false belief I call the great myth of the destination. It is the erroneous conviction that reaching a certain station in life or achieving a specific goal will bestow upon you a lasting state of happiness. It is the voice in your head that insists, when I get that promotion, then I will finally feel respected. When I earn a fortune, then I will be able to relax. When I find the ideal partner, then I will feel whole. When my book is published, then I will feel like a true success. You live your life in a perpetual state of when-then thinking, deferring your contentment to a future event which, you believe, will finally complete you. The problem is, that future never arrives in the manner you expect. The reason for this is a fundamental law of human nature. We are creatures of adaptation. When you achieve a goal, your brain rewards you with a chemical sensation of pleasure. This feels wonderful, but it is temporary by design. Once the achievement becomes your new reality, it becomes your new baseline. The thrill dissipates. You adapt. The six-figure salary becomes merely your salary. The corner office becomes just your office. The famous studies of lottery winners showed this perfectly. After the initial euphoria, their happiness levels returned to where they were before. Their new life simply became normal. Worse, they often found less pleasure in everyday occurrences. For the high achiever, this cycle is particularly vicious. Because you are so effective at reaching goals, you experience this loop of anticipation, achievement, and adaptation over and over. You chase the goal. Your mind releases its reward in anticipation. You get the goal, and then the feeling vanishes, leaving you emotionally flat. You are left standing on the summit you fought so hard to reach, feeling nothing but the wind. This is akin to the aimlessness felt by great champions after the contest is over, whether they won or lost. The great myth of the destination creates a treadmill of achievement. You achieve one thing, the feeling fades, and so you immediately cast your eyes toward the next bigger goal, believing that one will be different. But it never is. You are running on a conveyor belt that is speeding up, demanding more and more effort just to maintain the same fleeting sensation. The emptiness deepens with each cycle because in the depths of your being, you are starting to suspect the game is rigged. You are beginning to realize that no external achievement can ever fix an internal problem. At the very core of this struggle is the source from which you draw your self-worth. The myth of the destination is the mechanism of the chase, but the fuel for the engine is your deep-seated need for outside approval, the praise and admiration you receive from other people. While it is natural for a man to wish to be respected, for the high achiever it often becomes the sole source of his self-esteem. When your self-worth is outsourced, you are fundamentally not in control of how you feel about yourself. Your emotional state becomes a hostage to your boss's opinion, your client's satisfaction, or the shifting whims of the crowd. You hand over the keys to your own sense of enoughness to a world that is fickle and ever-changing. This is an incredibly precarious and powerless way to live. This reliance on outside approval is what transforms healthy ambition into a compulsion driven by fear. You are no longer striving out of passion or a definite purpose. You are striving out of a deep-seated anxiety of what might happen if you stop. You are running from the feeling of being unworthy rather than running towards the feeling of authentic fulfillment. This forces you into a state of constant performance. You feel you must project an image of success and competence at all times. This prevents you from being vulnerable, from admitting you are struggling, or from asking for help, because you fear it will crack the facade of your own making. This performative existence makes authentic connection impossible, creating a profound loneliness even when you are surrounded by people. You feel as though no one truly knows you because you are not allowing your true self to be seen. Even more insidiously, this constant performance leads to a numbing of the emotions. To maintain the facade, you subconsciously suppress unproductive emotions like sadness or fear. But you cannot selectively numb emotion. When you numb the painful feelings, you also numb the positive ones. You dull your capacity for joy, passion, and excitement. This is why success feels hollow. Your emotional capacity has been diminished so low that you cannot fully experience the win. You are living in a muted grayscale world, while everyone else sees your life in vibrant color. The brutal truth is that seeking approval from others is like drinking salt water when you are thirsty. It provides a momentary illusion of satisfaction, but it ultimately leaves you more desperate than before. You can stack your achievements to the ceiling, but they will never fill an internal void. The emptiness you feel is your soul's cry for a more reliable, more powerful source of worth, one that must come from within. This reliance on outside approval creates the perfect breeding ground for two of the high achiever's greatest inner demons, the specter of self-doubt and the folly of perfectionism. These are not mere personality quirks. They are destructive mental patterns that actively sabotage your ability to find fulfillment. Let us first address the specter of self-doubt. This is the persistent, nagging feeling that you are a fraud, that your success has been the result of luck or of deceiving others. Despite all objective evidence to the contrary, your degrees, your promotions, your tangible results, you live in secret fear of being found out. I have observed that even at the very pinnacles of industry, this feeling of being an imposter is shockingly common. This self-doubt is the ultimate thief of joy. When you achieve something, you cannot internalize the victory. Instead of pride, you feel only relieved. Phew, I have gotten away with it again. This reinforces the feeling of purposelessness. If your success is merely a fluke, then it holds no meaning about who you are. Each new achievement does not build your confidence. It only raises the stakes, increasing the anxiety because you feel you must maintain the scam. Feeding directly into this is its close cousin, perfectionism. This is not the healthy striving for excellence that marks a great man. It is the toxic belief that your self-worth is directly and irrevocably tied to a flawless performance. For a perfectionist, anything less than absolute perfection is a categorical failure. A small mistake is not just a mistake, it is proof of your fundamental inadequacy. This creates the moving goalpost phenomenon. The moment you achieve a goal, it ceases to feel like an accomplishment. Your perfectionistic mind either dismisses it, it was not so difficult, or immediately focuses on its flaws. I could have done it faster. The satisfaction evaporates instantly because the standard of perfect is, by its very definition, unattainable. Together, self-doubt and perfectionism form a psychological prison of your own making. Perfectionism declares, you must be flawless to be worthy. You then work yourself to the bone in pursuit of this impossible standard. When you succeed, self-doubt steps in and whispers, you just got lucky. It does not count. You receive no lasting satisfaction. You are left feeling empty. So the only logical next step is to try again, to set an even bigger goal, hoping that this time you will finally prove your worth to your inner critic. It is a self-perpetuating cycle of achievement and discontent, where success brings no peace, only the terror of the next performance. This entire experience, the constant striving, the fear of failure, the unyielding pressure to perform, is not merely happening in your mind. It is having a profound and tangible impact on your physical body. Your feeling of emptiness is not just a philosophical problem, it is a physiological state. For years, you have likely been operating in a chronic state of alarm. The constant pressure and self-criticism are interpreted by your nervous system as a persistent threat. Your body does not know the difference between a predator in the jungle and an impending deadline you are terrified of missing. The physical response is the same. It floods your system with the poisons of stress and anxiety. When your body is constantly contending with these chemicals, it reverts to survival mode. Its primary job becomes the conservation of energy. And what is shut down first? All non-essential functions. This includes a broad emotional range, feelings of connection, creativity, and presence. Your brain literally dampens your capacity to feel joy, because joy is a biologically expensive emotion when the body believes it is in a state of constant peril. This state can appear much like a high-functioning exhaustion. It is not necessarily the inability to rise from bed. It is a persistent sense of disconnection and a fatigue that sleep cannot remedy. You are still able to excel at your obligations, but you feel hollowed out from the inside. This is your physical being overloaded. This chronic stress also disrupts your brain's reward circuits. Remember the pleasure derived from achievement? When your system is overloaded with stress, your brain's ability to process rewards becomes blunted. It is as if the volume on your pleasure receptors has been turned down. So even when you do achieve something, the reward is smaller and shorter-lived. What is more, this survival state actively blocks the very things that could heal you. To feel purpose and connection, you must be present and engage authentically. But a nervous system in a state of alarm makes that nearly impossible. It keeps you trapped in your mind, ruminating on past errors or worrying about future possibilities. It makes genuine human connection feel threatening. You are biologically locked out of the solution. So when you feel that sense of emptiness and profound fatigue, understand that it is not a moral failing. It is your body sending you a clear physiological signal. It is saying, I cannot sustain this level of threat any longer. The way we are living is not safe. This emptiness is a form of biological feedback, begging you to stop and discover a new way of being that does not require a constant state of emergency. So that is the nature of the problem. It is a blueprint for unhappiness built upon the myth of the destination, fueled by outside approval and supercharged by self-doubt and the folly of perfectionism, all of which places your physical being under constant siege. It is a bleak picture indeed, but to recognize this trap is the first and most powerful step toward escaping it. The feeling of emptiness is not a life sentence. It is an invitation. It is a call to adventure from your own soul, asking you to build a life that does not just look good, but feels good. How then do we fix this? How do we step off the treadmill? It is not about rejecting success. It is about redirecting your ambition. It is about taking all the drive, the discipline, and the willpower that made you successful in the external world and turning it inward. It is about resolving to become as ambitious for your inner peace as you were for your last promotion. The very first step has nothing to do with doing anything at all. It has everything to do with rethinking. Before you can build a life of internal meaning, you must fundamentally redefine what success means to you. For your entire life, success has been defined by external metrics, titles, income, awards. That is society's definition. Now it is time to create your own. This requires you to shift from the what to the why. You have proven you can achieve almost any what. The more important question, the one upon which your future happiness depends, is why am I doing this? True and lasting fulfillment comes only when your actions are in perfect alignment with your core principles and your definite chief aim. To begin, you must create space for quiet reflection. Take up a journal and put these questions to yourself. Do not rush the answers. Let them reveal themselves. First, beyond titles and money, what would a successful life feel like to me? Forget what it would look like to others. Focus on the internal experience. Would it feel calm, powerful, creative, connected? Endeavor to identify 3 to 5 core feelings that you wish to experience daily. These feelings shall become your new North Star. Henceforth, you can measure success not just by what you achieved, but by how often you felt these desired feelings. Second, what are my core principles? These are your non-negotiable guiding laws. They may be integrity, creativity, service, or freedom. Make a list, then circle the top 5 that are the bedrock of your character. Are you living in alignment with these principles now? For example, if you value freedom, but your occupation is rigid and micromanaged, that misalignment will inevitably create a sense of inner conflict, no matter the size of the paycheck. Third, when in my life have I felt most alive and energized, and what was I doing at that time? Think back to moments where time seemed to vanish, where you felt a sense of genuine power and purpose. Was it when you were solving a complex problem, mentoring a colleague, creating something new from nothing? These experiences are definite clues leading you toward your authentic passions and your true calling. This work of redefining success is the foundation upon which you will build your new life. It is a shift from a life designed to impress others to a life designed to express your true self. It is not about lowering your standards. It is about changing the scorecard. The new scorecard measures your life by its depth of meaning, not by its height of achievement. Redefining success is the what. Now we must have the how. Uncovering your purpose is a practical process of self-discovery using definite tools and habits to reconnect with your inner authority. Here are 3 powerful, actionable strategies you can begin using today. Strategy 1, the principle of self-alliance. The greatest obstacle to finding your purpose is the relentless inner critic you have cultivated through years of perfectionism. You cannot discover what you love while a voice within tells you that you are not good enough. The antidote is to form an alliance with yourself. This means you must treat yourself with the same consideration you would offer a trusted business partner. When you fail or make a mistake, instead of engaging in self-recrimination, pause and adopt an attitude of constructive counsel. Acknowledge the error, analyze it without emotion, and resolve to correct it. This practice decouples your worth from your performance. A simple physical act is to place your hand on your chest during a moment of stress or self-criticism and simply breathe. This can help quiet the destructive inner monologue and restore your sense of command. Strategy 2, the evidence log. The specter of self-doubt thrives by convincing you to dismiss your successes as luck. To combat this, you must become a deliberate collector of your own competence. This is a private ledger for the purpose of rewiring your own brain and building unwavering self-faith. Obtain a journal and label it Evidence of Power. At the end of each week, you must write down 3 to 5 things you did well. Be specific. Do not just write, "Finished the project." Write, "I successfully navigated a difficult negotiation by maintaining my composure and speaking with definite purpose." This practice actively challenges the "I'm a fraud" narrative. Over time, reading your own log builds up an undeniable body of evidence that your successes are earned through your own power. It helps you to internalize your wins and build a stable internal sense of competence. Strategy 3, purpose discovery journaling. Purpose is discovered through a series of small, honest reflections. Journaling is one of the most powerful tools for this. Here are a few prompts to begin your inquiry. Spend at least 10 minutes on each one, writing continuously without judgment. What truth am I no longer willing to pretend about? What activities or conversations cause me to lose all track of time? If money and the opinions of other people were entirely irrelevant, what problem would I be excited to solve? What did I love to do as a child before I was told what I should be doing? These tools are not a one-time fix. They are practices. They represent a new way of relating to yourself, one that is constructive, evidence-based, and deeply curious. This is the inner work that transforms a life of emptiness into a life of fullness and power. You do not have to do this work alone. In fact, you cannot. For many high achievers, asking for help feels like an admission of failure. But seeking support is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of ultimate strength. It is a strategic move, leveraging the expertise and power of others to solve a complex problem. This is the foundation of the mastermind principle, the mastermind alliance. A mastermind consists of 2 or more people working in perfect harmony for the attainment of a definite purpose. Think of professional counsel not as something for people who are broken, but as forming a mastermind alliance with a trained expert in the workings of the human mind. They can help you identify and challenge the distorted thoughts that hold you captive. Furthermore, being in a group with other successful individuals who are all admitting, "I feel this emptiness too," shatters the sense of isolation that keeps you stuck. This is another form of a mastermind, one that can destroy shame and provide immense power. The power of authentic connection. Beyond formal alliances, you must begin to cultivate relationships where you can show up as your whole self, not just your successful self. This could mean finding a mentor you trust and having an honest conversation. It could mean reaching out to a peer you respect and saying, "I am struggling with a sense of aimlessness. Have you ever felt that?" When you share your honest condition with the right people, two powerful things happen. First, the shame evaporates in the light of day. Second, you create a real bond based on authenticity, not on performance. These are the kinds of relationships that truly nourish the human spirit. Your achievements cannot offer you counsel. Your career cannot offer you a moment of true fellowship. To rebuild a life of purpose requires rebuilding your web of harmonious human connection. Finally, we must address the physiological reality of your condition. You cannot think your way out of a body that is stuck in a state of alarm. Actively working to regulate your physical self is not a luxury. It is an essential part of this process. The goal is to send your body signals of safety and order, to gently coax it out of its chronic state of emergency. 1. Prioritize sleep. For high achievers, sleep is often the first thing sacrificed at the altar of productivity. This must stop. Sleep is when your body and brain repair themselves and restore their power. Make 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep a non-negotiable priority. See it not as downtime, but as a critical activity for peak performance. 2. Mindful movement. The goal here is not another punishing achievement. It is to reconnect with your physical self in a deliberate way. This could be a 20-minute walk in nature without your telephone, a stretching routine, or any form of movement you choose. Focus on the physical sensations. Feel your feet upon the ground. This helps pull you out of the anxious chatter in your head and into the power of the present moment. 3. The power of the breath. The simplest tool you possess for mastering your physical state is your own breath. When you are under stress, your breathing becomes short and shallow. You can consciously shift your physiological state by making your exhale longer than your inhale. This simple act sends a powerful signal of safety throughout your entire body, calming the inner storm. A simple practice is this: inhale for a count of 4, hold for 4, and exhale for a count of 6. Repeat this for just 2 minutes whenever you feel stress rising. It is a simple formula for composure. 4. Nutrition as a foundation. A body fueled by caffeine, sugar, and processed foods will be an anxious body. You do not need an extreme diet. Simply focus on providing your body with the high-quality raw materials it needs to create a more balanced and powerful neurochemistry. These physical practices are not about adding more to your to-do list. They are about creating the biological conditions for the mental work to take root. By mastering your physical self, you are quieting the internal alarms, which finally allows you to hear the wiser voice of your own definite purpose. The journey from a life that looks good to one that feels good is a process. It begins with the definite decision that you are no longer willing to feel hollow, no matter how shiny the exterior of your life may be. The work is internal, and it starts with one small, definite step. So my charge to you is this: what is one small, intrinsic goal you will set for yourself this week? Not for a promotion, not for praise, not for anyone else. A goal purely for yourself. Perhaps it is to schedule 15 minutes to journal with the prompts I have provided. Perhaps it is to take that walk without your phone. Perhaps it is to reconnect with an old, forgotten interest. Declare that one small goal in the comments below. To declare a goal is to give it power. And if this discourse has resonated with that part of you that knows there must be more to life than simply checking boxes, then subscribe to this channel. We shall be exploring these great principles of purpose and authentic success much more deeply in the days to come. You did everything you were told was right. You followed the rules, you played the game, and you won. But that feeling of emptiness is a sign that you have won a game you were never meant to play forever. It is not a failure, it is a graduation. It is your inner self informing you that you are ready for the next level, a level where you get to define the rules, where you get to choose the prize. The path you have walked has given you incredible skills, discipline, persistence, and an unwavering ability to get things done. Now it is time to turn that same formidable capability inward, to build a life that is in harmony with your own soul. The process involves redefining success, challenging your inner critic with constructive analysis, reconnecting with others in a mastermind of harmony, and treating your body as an ally, not a machine. This is the most important work you will ever do. It is the great journey back to yourself, and the reward is not another trophy for the shelf. It is a feeling of internal rightness, a quiet power, and the confidence that you are finally, truly, the master of your own life. That is a feeling no external achievement can ever buy. And you have within you, right now, the power to create it.